I would like, first of all, to thank all the organizers for allowed me to present this research, and I will be a little bit in rush because of time, and it will concern new insights into Capsian subsistence strategies, zooarchaeological evidence from the Holocene of Central. Next, please, next slide. Okay. So Capsian is a specific Mesolithic culture from Tunisia and Algeria between early and middle Holocene, roughly from circa 10,000 to 7,000 years ago. Prehistoric culture in Tunisia. Capsian was for the first time in the early 20th century at Al Maqta site located 10 kilometers north of Gafsa, southern Tunisia. The Capsian lived in specific open air as Ramadiya, which means ashy deposits. They were mainly hunters of wild of land snails and wild plants. There are two subdivisions of Capsian, typical Capsian and Apacapsian. Speaking and according to radiocarbon dates, the former is the older. Their sites are rare and concentrated in the Gafsa and Kasran region. On the other hand, Apacapsian sites are more frequent and over the south and north of Tunisia, especially to the eastern part of the country. In some scarce sites, such as Al Maqta, there is layering between typical Capsian and Apacapsian. This presentation presents new data on Capsian behavior from highlight their lifestyle, subsistence patterns, and maximum exploitation of landscape. Next, please. In this diagram, we have climate fluctuation since the 25 Ka. And Holocene was wet between 10,000 and to 8,000 years, called the HP, African Humid Period. After the 8.2 climate event, the climate switched dry, in particular after 7,500 years. So during typical Capsian, at the left slide, that became drier during Apacapsian. Here you have a typical Apacapsian. So this is the Ramadi of Al Maqta that we with the gray color visible from far away. At the right, we have detailed shot from Ramadiya remains, land snail shells, and flint mixed together in ashy sediments. Next. Next slide. Well, yes, this is the Al Maqta Ramadiya with a typical Capsian in the bottom and at the Apacapsian at the top. And so Capsian are, in addition to consumption of wild animals, land snails were an important complementary element of the diet of Capsian. There are thousands of land snails and sea resources, fish, mollusks, then consumed by Capsian. The next, please. So Capsian for both consumptions and yeah, I have a problem with the net. It's unstable, and Capsian also gathered plants for both consumption, and they scattering, making tools, fires. So there is a consumption of alipopine, nuts, alpha, legumes. The Capsian, I have a problem. It's unstable. The weather. Next, yes, Capsian populations buried their dead within the Ramadiya, that is inside the areas where they lived. An example of this practice comes from the Apacapsian site from Hergla in the eastern coast of Tunisia. Next, please. So we have this new data from this new site called the MED in central Tunisia. Next, please. This is the site of next. This is Tunisia. This is the MED. The red point, and we have the site is located 20 kilometers southeast of Tbilisi in Algeria and about 100 kilometers north of Gafsa, the two major center sites of Capsian culture. Yes, this is the new excavation. Donc, this rescue site of Qudess MED. This is the Ramadiya, characterized by well developed and well preserved, exceeding 3 meters of thickness, constitutes a key record of culture and environmental dynamics during the early and middle Holocene. So Qudess MED, this is the rescue excavations carried out in March and December 2021 due to the road construction works allowed the opening of 4 test trenches, log 1, log 1, log 2, S1 and survey 1 and survey 2 on the eastern edge of the site. Next, please. This is the Ramadi and this is the Wadi. So our work will focus exclusively on material sequence. The log 1 sequence displays a complex and extensive diachronic stratigraphic section. Microscopic observation of log 1 sequence allowed its subdivision in 3 major stratigraphic units from top to bottom, called Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. In this work, we present the results from this log 1. 14 dates obtained from charcoal fragments extracted from well-defined stratigraphic levels of log 1 yielded a broad from 9,000 to 7,000 years. These dates are broadened by 2 human burials located respectively at the base and at the top of the log 1. Both radiocarbon dates associated with burials were obtained from charcoal or recovered from the sediment filling the burial pits. The other from charcoal collected from sediments of the different stratigraphic units. Based on external C14, so based on external physics characteristics, observable changes in the archaeological assemblage and the 5 available C14 dates, the stratigraphic sequence was subdivided into 3 major chronocultural phases, designed Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. The earliest 5 phases, Unit 3, dates to the end of the 10th millennium and the beginning of the 9th millennium BC. Conversely, Unit 1, the most recent phase, is dated between the middle of the 8th millennium and the middle of the 7th millennium BC. Unit 2, whose sociocultural identification and characterization remain imprecise, belongs to the second half of the 8th millennium BC. This is the C14. Next, please. And this is the comparison between what we have from Perrin 2020 and our dates between Capsian and the typical Capsian. This is some findings from the site. This is some bone tools extracted from Qudess MED. Next. The ochre, grinding stone also gathered from the site. Next, please. And this bone tools also, a complete one. Yeah, so this is one of the burials. It's called the teenager, and the dead person was buried in lateral flexed spina. Next, please. Next. Oh, next, please. Yeah, on the left part of the thorax, there is a made on both Vidrigoise rib was set with the burial. This is the pendant on bones, animal bones. From lithic, some pendant from the site, some also engraved ostrich eggshells, some ornaments like Tresia, Columbella, worked ornaments from the Mediterranean Sea. This is the map, and this is the site, and we have this next. The marine shells are from the oriental coast, from the Mediterranean Sea, of course. Next, please. So, for our work focused on faunal remains. A total of more than 4,000 faunal remains from log 1 were analyzed. The rate 4% reflects the high degree of fragmentation of the bone assemblage. Cranial remains account for 60% of the total, whereas postcranial elements are largely dominant, 83%. The faunal spectrum of the entire sequence of log 1, approximately 3 meters thick, includes equids, Equus milkensis, Equus sp, and bovids, Bos primigenus, Olcina, Gazella atlantica, Gazella sp, Amotragus lervia, and Barbary shape, and Redenca. Swedes like Pseudoscrofa, Lagomorphs, Lepus capensis, Orictulagus caniculus, and carnivores like Canisaurus and Canis sp, Genetta. Ostrich, small birds, tortoise, and fish. This is a list of taxa from the site with NISP and NMC. And a different distribution of taxa is observed among the 3 main units of log 1. The faunal spectrum is more diversified in the upper levels, unit 1, and least diversified in the unit 2. Carnivore jackals, large canid, and the genet occur throughout the sequence, but are more frequent and diverse in the upper unit. Aurochs are present in both units 1 and 2. Rudencini now are present in unit 2 and unit 3, whereas gazelles occur exclusively in the upper unit, unit 1. The hartebeest, called Aouadi in local Arabic, are presented throughout the sequence, with depending on stratigraphic units. The Barbary sheep shows a continuous presence similar to that of ostrich, tortoise, and lagomorph, but it's more frequent in the upper associated with gazelles. This species has a hartebeest, the muflo. This species has occupied the rugged environments of the Tunisian dorsal range from the late Pleistocene. Its hunting requires specific techniques and a knowledge adapted to mountainous terrain. Equids represented by milky donkey and another indeterminate equid occur in the middle level from the depth of 100 centimeters, and again at the end of the sequence, suggesting the presence of open savanna environments. In the lower levels, Alcilafini, hartebeest, and Damaliscus dominate, indicate a deliberate. The presence of wild boar in the units 1 and 2 reflects wooded landscape with permanent water sources. The Wadi Riehi, located down slope on the northern flank of the site, probably contain continuously flowing water. This interpretation is supported by the presence of fish remains found exclusively in the basal unit, unit 3, as well as fragment of freshwater mussels, UNU, recovered from the test pit S1. Now, next one, remains were classified into 3 size categories, BT1, BT2, and BT3. The frequencies of small sizes, bovid BT1, it's with Antilopini and bovid BT2 with Alcilafini and Ipotragini and Caprini, increase progressively from the lower to the upper levels. Yeah. So regarding mammals, next, voilà, mammals classified by log 1 shows an increase in medium to large mammals, size 3-4, from the uppermost unit, unit 1. Unit 1 is primarily dominated by mammals of size 1, 2, 3, and 3-4. Size 2 mammals correspond to occur exclusively in units 1 and 3, to which the only gazelle are attributed. Unit 3 is dominated by mammals of size 2, 3, and 3-4, followed by 3 and lesser extent mammals. The distribution, next please, the distribution of anatomical and taxonomic identified fauna remains age classes shows a strong dominance of adults, representing more than 80% of the assemblage in all 3 stratigraphic units. The basal unit, that means unit 3, is characterized by of adults near 87%, contrasting with very low frequencies of juvenile and young adults. Juveniles consistently represent less than 20% of the assemblage, although they are slightly better represented in Unit 2. Over, next, please. Overall, the evolution of bovid and lago. Next, please. Yeah, the evolution of bovid lagomorph ratio is not uniform throughout log 1 sequence. During the earliest occupation phase, unit 3 bovids, mainly represented by Alcilafini, constitute the primary by groups of the typical Capsian. In the intermediate phase, unit 2, lagomorphs dominated by Cape Hare prevail in the faunal assemblage. Finally, in the upper phase, unit 1, bovids, particularly Barbary sheep and hartebeest, become the principal prey target by population of the Apacapsian. So I can go to the conclusion maybe.
Yes, please.
Next. Yeah, next. This is a hind leg from the site of Alcilaphus bosilaf, the hartebeest.
Which slide do you want?
The conclusion, the conclusion, this is the discussion.
Is it conclusion?
No, it's a discussion. It's before the conclusion. The Codesser MED typical Capsian groups preferentially exploited animals from the plains, notably equids and aurochs and Alcilafini during the Apacapsian. A more diversified exploitation strategy is observed, targeting species Gazella and Alcilafini and mountain taxa such as Barbary sheep. Faunal remains indicate that whole animals were processed on site, including skinning, butchering, and defleshing activities. The Malacofauna assemblage reveals a dominant dietary use of terrestrial snails, mainly Helix and Sphincterochella, which are present throughout the stratigraphic sequence. An increasing contribution of arid adapted taxa such as Elicella and Xerosecta is also evident. The relative frequency of Elicella increases from 5 to in the lower levels to 7 in the upper levels, while Xerosecta ranges from 10 to 11. Overall, typical Capsian groups primarily focused on two taxa, Helix and Sphincterochella, whereas Apacapsian groups found a spectrum reflecting a more diversified. In some cases, monospecific consumption patterns are documented, such as at the Apacapsian site of Kefizeh. The conclusion, please, the next one. Yes. This is part of the conclusion beyond purely functional analysis provides valuable insights into mobility patterns, territorially, and the degree of sedentism. The importance of on-site mapping, the predominance of tools related to processing and consumption of a wide range of material, the large quantity of food remains, as well as the presence of constructed features and burials, all suggest that Codesser MED functional as a base camp or a site of prolonged rather than a sample hunting stopover. In summary, owing to its strategic elevated position, overlooking its proximity to the Nabiha Aouadi and the raw material sources and the exceptional thickness and continuity of its stratigraphic sequence, Codesser MED represented a key site for interesting interaction between human groups, their environment, and their networks during the early and middle Holocene in North Africa. Systematic and long-term excavation would make it possible to refine of the site's internal organization, occupation rate, its role within the Fusena Basin. Yes, and its significance within the broader context of the Tunisian high steppes. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.